Bismillah walhamdulillah wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah. Amma ba'd. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to another episode of Sending the Community with me, Hafiz Muhammad Umar. Tonight's show is a live show. It is Wednesday, the 12th of November 2025, and we are going to be discussing a few very delicate topics which are being highlighted this month. We'll start with epilepsy, and that coincides with Epilepsy Awareness Month in November. And I will be talking about what epilepsy is, how it manifests itself, how a person having a seizure can be supported by young people if they happen to be an adult with children around them, whether it's at home, in a leisurely place, or in a school perhaps, or a masjid, or in a place of worship. And I will also then be talking about some guidance for parents or carers for or families, even for young people who might be experiencing seizures. So that's going to be during the first half of the show, inshallah, bismillah. And if you'd like to call in to share your experiences of having either to live with epilepsies yourself or perhaps caring for a family member, you can do so on 01582 481822. That's Luton 01582 481822. Or you can WhatsApp us on 07779 481822. That's 07779 481822. And during the second half of the show, inshallah, we are going to be talking about Islamophobia. What is Islamophobia? Looking at the rising numbers and cases of Islamophobia being reported, as well as possible underlying reasons for people not reporting Islamophobia, with the view on how that impacts people with disabilities. So that's going to be during the second half of the show. And as I said earlier, inshallah, if you'd like to raise awareness or share your experiences, you can do so today, as it is a live show on Wednesday, the 12th of November 2025. Alongside that, I do need to mention the fact that November is a mental health awareness month as well, and there is a lot happening at the moment in and around Luton, surrounding areas, and also nationally and internationally. And one element that people tend to forget is the fact that we men also, unfortunately, do go through certain struggles at certain times of our lives as well. And there is a lot of support available. And I will share some key information with you now regarding mental health support. There is Mental Health Foundation out there, which is available on various social media channels, as well as through searching using search engines, and some key charities and organizations out there to support men's mental health. The one is CALM, which stands for Campaign Against Living Miserably. Our locals of Luton will know that we did a massive campaign with CALM during August, when we hosted a charity cricket match at Luton Town Indians Cricket Club, and we alhamdulillah raised over £34,000 to support CALM. You can contact them on 0800 585858. That's 0800 585858. It's a free phone line which is open from 5 p.m. until midnight, and there is a live chat available via the calmzone.net. So that's one possible place to contact if you feel you need some support. There's another organization called Men's Shed. You can visit the website on men'ssheds.org.uk. Samaritans, of course, can be reached quite regularly, easily, either by calling 116 123. That's 116 123. They are open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And Shout is another area that can provide support for men's mental health, or mental health in general as well. You can text the word Shout to 85258. That's 85258. They're open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Please do not ever feel alone or isolated. Remember that there are places out there that are um, prepared to support, and education support partnership also have trained counselors working 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, throughout the whole year. They can be reached at any time as well. If you happen to work in education and you have trade union membership with any of the major teaching or educational based trade unions, education support partnership offers free service to members of most education related trade unions. So there is lots and lots of help, support and advice available out there. And of course you can reach out to your local imams within Luton and surrounding areas, at your local masjid, and most of them alhamdulillah are professional enough to be able to understand the difficulties around mental health, and they can provide guidance and support. So please do not ever feel alone. So for tonight then, going back to our main topics, there are two: epilepsy. We will try and cover that during the first half of the show, and during the second half, inshallah, we'll move on towards raising awareness of Islamophobia and how that can be tackled, and what is the support available out there. So with epilepsy, we've got to try and first of all understand what epilepsy is. It is a condition that affects the brain and causes seizures. That's the main thing to remember. The fact that a condition that affects your brain directly, and as a result, the person will experience seizures. In terms of numbers, in the UK, there are approximately 600,000 people with epilepsy. This works out to be one person in every 100 people. Subhanallah, that's how common epilepsy is, and we don't really at times realize its presence around us. Epilepsy can happen to anyone at any time. And then there are certain times of the year that are allocated. So the whole of November is traditionally allocated to raising awareness of epilepsy. 26th of March is considered to be the Purple Day, and it's a special day where awareness of epilepsy is raised around the world. So other than that, I think it's never too late or too early or the wrong time to be learning about any condition, and epilepsy is no exemption. Please try to understand what it's about and how you can be supported. When we think about seizures, there are two main types of seizures. There's one called generalized seizures, and the other one are focal seizures. Looking at generalized seizures first then. Generalized seizures affect both sides of the brain at once and happen without warning. Most people will become unconscious during a generalized seizure and will not be able to remember what happened during the seizure. Some people may experience motor movements with a generalized seizure, meaning their bodies may shake. There are different types of generalized seizures. Some are known as absence seizures, and others are known as tonic-clonic seizures. If you live with somebody with epilepsy, or perhaps are going through yourself, you might be familiar with these terms, and we'll try to break these down briefly. So absence seizures, this is when the person may look blank and are unresponsive for a few seconds. So if you call the name, they wouldn't reply. It may look like the person is daydreaming, or their eyelids might flutter. Absence seizures are more common in children than adults. Then we have the tonic-clonic seizures. The person's body stiffens and shakes. In this type of seizure, the person is likely to lose consciousness. Atonic seizure is another form of a seizure when the muscles in the person's body suddenly relax and become floppy. People having this type of seizure are likely to fall to the floor. Myoclonic seizures. Myoclonic means muscle jerk. During a myoclonic seizure, the person's muscles may jerk, rhythmically or have spasms. This may affect or the whole body. They can be so strong that they may cause the person to fall. And if you have been in an unfortunate situation to witness this, this can be quite scary. And I think you just got to try and remain calm at all times, particularly when you are witnessing somebody having any of these type of seizures. Um, so if we go back to focal seizures start in only one part of the brain. Sometimes a focal seizure can spread to both sides of the brain. People experiencing a focal seizure may have different levels of awareness about what is happening during a seizure. Again, it's not exactly the same for everybody in every situation. That's the key thing to bear in mind. Focal aware seizures. When a person is awake and aware during a seizure, is called a focal aware seizure. They will usually know that they are having a seizure and be able to remember it afterwards. Focal impaired awareness seizures. When a person is confused or their awareness is affected in some way during a focal seizure, is called a focal impaired awareness seizure. A person experiencing this type of seizure may not react as they typically would during the seizure. Afterwards, they may feel tired and they may not remember what happened. A common question people often ask is, can epilepsy be treated? Treatments are available and can help most people with epilepsy to have fewer seizures. It may stop the seizures altogether. Some people may have to take medicine every day. Some people may have an operation to remove the part of the brain that is causing the seizure. A special diet called ketogenic diet can also control seizures for some people. Sometimes a procedure can be done to put small electrical device inside the body to help control seizures. So, um, if you're wondering what can I do to help if someone is having a seizure, and as I said earlier, I do appreciate that our listenership does involve children as well. So the advice is for adults and children who might be in a position where they witness somebody having a seizure. And what I think everybody needs to do is, first of all, stay calm. If you're a child witnessing somebody having a seizure, please shout for an adult or send another person to get an adult for help. Okay? Children, please do not be frightened. If you witness a seizure, ask for help, call for an adult. And if you can, call for an ambulance as well. And what you can do is, the next bit applies to everybody, move any objects away from the person so that they are as comfortable as they can be. Put something soft under the head, such as a cushion or a jumper. If you could get hold of a pillow, put that under the head just to make sure that the person's head is on a soft kind of a place to be resting. Try talking to the person to let them know that you are there with them. As I mentioned earlier, if you think about all the different types of seizures, sometimes the person is aware of what's happening around them, so please try to reassure them. Once the person has stopped moving or shaking, roll them onto their side if you can. And again, if you're a child, please wait for the adult to do that. You do not want to end up hurting yourself by doing that on your own. And also, wait for the ambulance to arrive if you're alone with an adult. Please don't try to do that on your own. So that's some of the simple overview of what an epilepsy is, what different types of seizures are, and what you can do to try and support a person having these seizures. If you just tuned in, listeners, you are listening to the Send in the Community show with me, Hafiz Muhammad Umar. Alhamdulillah, I am a qualified psycho by profession, and today is Wednesday, the 12th of November 2025. We are doing a live show to raise awareness of epilepsy during the first part of the show. And if you want to be sharing your experiences with us, please feel free to either call into the studio on 01582 481822. That's 01582 481822, or you can send in a message using WhatsApp on 0779 481822. That's 0779 481822. So we spoke a bit there about what epilepsy is, what different types of seizures are, and what can be done to support, what can be done to support a person having a seizure. And we try to cover some guidance there for children as well. Because, as I mentioned earlier, a seizure can affect any one of us at any time, and it's important that our children are aware of what the basics are that they could do to support the person having a seizure. And now I'm going to be going through some guidance for parents when it comes to supporting a child with epilepsy. If the child has epilepsy, you can use some of the tips to try and find out a bit more about the symptoms of epilepsy that we are going to be discussing now, and how you can support the child at home. So, epilepsy, as mentioned earlier, is a disorder that affects the brain, causing seizures. While it can start at any age, it's common for epilepsy to begin in childhood. Epilepsy is a lifelong condition, but symptoms can improve gradually over time. For example, seizures may become less frequent, again, depending on the kind of medication that is available, and also the diet that can be introduced to reduce the frequency of epilepsy. So you might be asking yourself, what is it that causes epilepsy? It's not always clear as to what causes the sudden burst of electrical activity in the brain, which is the cause of the seizures. There is a chance that genes play a part in epilepsy, but this is not always the case. Sometimes a severe head injury, brain tumor, or infection can cause damage to the brain, which can lead to epilepsy. Signs and symptoms of epilepsy. The main symptom of epilepsy is seizures. There are many types of seizures which can present in different ways. It's important to recognize the signs of your child's seizure so you can tell the family members and school staff what they should look out for. Some signs of a seizure can include staring blankly into space with no awareness of what is happening, experiencing strange sensations such as tingling arms and legs, or getting a rising feeling in the stomach, fitting where the person jerks and shakes uncontrollably, collapsing or becoming rigid, twitching of limbs, loss of sight. And if you think your child or anyone is experiencing a seizure for the first time, you should call 999 for emergency medical assistance. It may be a one off, or it may be the first of many. Regardless, it is important to find out why it happened, so please do not ignore it. Types of seizures. It's important to know what types of seizures your child usually experiences. They can be put into two groups: focal seizures, as we discussed earlier, which start in one side of the brain, and generalized seizures, which start affecting both sides of the brain immediately. Your child might experience one or more of the following types of seizures if they have epilepsy. Again, we'll go over this early in case anybody has missed it, because this is so vital that we understand how it affects each individual. Focal aware seizures. Your child remains fully aware of what is happening around them, even if they can't respond. These usually last for up to 2 minutes, but can only be for a few seconds. Your child may experience different symptoms depending on which lobe of the brain the seizure occurs in. These can include loss of sight, twitching, thrashing, difficulty with understanding, and loss of bladder control. So if you feel as though they are aware, but they're not moving or responding to you, please be mindful that that could well be the seizure they are going through. Focal impaired awareness seizures, your child loses awareness of what is happening around them, whether for a moment or for a whole seizure. These are usually seizures which occur in the temporal lobes and have symptoms that include lip smacking, feeling frightened, and hearing things that aren't actually there. Your child may be confused after this type of seizure. Atypical absence seizure, your child seems to become floppy or clumsy. These seizures last for around 30 seconds and usually occur in people who have other conditions that affect the brain too. And then there's typical absence seizures. Your child will be unconscious for up to 10 seconds but won't fall down. They may suddenly stop what they are doing or appear to be daydreaming. There may be some other signs such as eyelid fluttering, and while each seizure only lasts for up to 10 seconds, these seizures are often clustered together. Your child may feel confused after a cluster of seizures, but may continue as they were before it started. Epilepsy, tonic clonic seizures. This is what people most typically associate with epilepsy. During a tonic clonic seizure, your child will experience a tonic phase where they'll lose consciousness and go rigid, falling to the floor. This is followed by a clonic phase where the limbs jerk quickly and rhythmically, and they may lose bladder control. Most tonic clonic seizures last between 1 and 3 minutes. If your child has a seizure for longer than 5 minutes, they may need emergency medical help. Your child could feel very tired or unwell after a tonic clonic seizure and may not feel better for several days. Myoclonic seizures. These can be focal or generalized and are very short seizures, not usually affecting consciousness. They cause jerks in one or more parts of the body. These jerks can be a small twitch or a large movement, perhaps causing a child to throw what they are holding or fall over. Your child will usually be able to carry on as normal after myoclonic seizure. Focal to bilateral tonic-clonic seizures. Someone may experience a focal aware seizure before a tonic-clonic seizure, which they often describe as an aura or a sense that they are about to have a tonic-clonic seizure. The aura is the focal aware seizure starting in one side of their brain before they lose consciousness as the seizure spreads to both sides. If you are unsure about what sort of seizure your child experiences, ask your child's doctor or epilepsy nurse, please. I think it's really, really important that we try to understand the different types of seizures. They're not all the same, they won't all happen exactly the same way to each individual. So, those early warning signs are really crucial for us to try and grasp, particularly when these seizures become a bit more aggressive. And I think it's important for us to understand what that means in terms of an individual falling from a standing position suddenly without any warning in a split second, and what to do in those kind of situations, depending on how long the seizure has lasted. As I mentioned earlier, if it is more than 5 minutes, then regardless of how frequent they are, you've got to seek medical help and call for an ambulance, and then be prepared to support the individual afterwards. There are some childhood epilepsy syndromes, things like the age your child begins having seizures, the types of seizures they have, and whether they have any other medical or learning needs might indicate a particular medical syndrome. If your child is diagnosed with a particular syndrome, it can help you and your child's doctor predict what might happen with their epilepsy in the future based on others' experiences. It can also help the doctor plan the most appropriate treatment for your child. And then, if you're thinking, we're having all these seizures, what's causing it all? What are the triggers? And these could be possible triggers. Seizures can appear to occur randomly for some people, but others may notice that they occur after certain triggers. You might find your child experiences seizures following triggers such as stress, lack of sleep, missed medication, illness, flashing or flickering lights, hormonal changes. And in those kind of situations, I guess what you can do is try and look out for these um, triggers and whether those could be reduced to ensure that the frequency of the seizures reduces. We are headed towards a short break in a few seconds. And I'm going to pause there, and I'm going to be reminding our listeners that in today's show, we have been talking about epilepsy during the first half of the show. We have done this live show to try and help our community gain better understanding and better awareness of what epilepsy is, what seizures are, and what you can do to help and support anybody having a seizure. And if you would like to share your story with us, by all means, get in touch with us, please. And November is Epilepsy Awareness Month, and I'm quite happy to carry this topic over into next week as well, inshallah, to get some of our listeners onto the show to share their experiences with us. Please do join us for the second half of the show, where we'll be discussing Islamophobia. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
This program will continue after the break. Continue listening to Inspire FM. Inspire FM.
Inspire 105.1 FM.
Hi, I'm Saleha. I'm founder of Street Hands. I was on Inspire FM today, which I think is a great platform for people to raise awareness of really good issues. So well done to Shamiza and her team. I just want to leave a message with you guys. Spread kindness wherever you are, and just always try to be good people.
AK Windows South Limited, manufacturers and installers of high-quality UPVC windows and doors, bifold doors, composite doors, conservatories, porches, skypods, fascias, guttering, and much, much more. We specialize in double glazing and triple glazing using the best German profile. If you want quality at affordable prices, AK Windows is the place to go. If your house needs a facelift, you know who to trust. For a free quote, call AK Windows today on 01582 483 777 or visit us at Unit 10E, Britannia Estate, Leagrave Road, Luton.
How many times have you needed urgent medical supplies but don't know where to go? At Harris Pharmacy, we take pride in delivering a high-level healthcare to our community. This is why we have services such as private one-to-one consultation, free prescription ordering from GP and delivery to your home, mobility aids such as providing wheelchairs and many other items for everyday use. Call us today on free phone 0800 458 2850 to discuss your medical needs. We are open from 9 a.m. till 7 p.m. Monday to Friday and 9 a.m. till 4 p.m. on Saturdays. Harris Pharmacy, 165 A/B, Dunstable Road, Luton.
Need a ride? Village Taxis has you covered. Going to the airport, station, work, hospital or school? Call Village Taxis on Luton 250 for a quick, reliable service. New drivers wanted? Get registered today and join the Village Taxis team, serving Luton, Central Beds, TfL, Wolverhampton, Hertfordshire and beyond. Taxi rental also available. Download our easy-to-use Village Taxis app or call on 01582 250 250 to book your ride today. Village Taxis, your local taxi company.
Are you looking for a prompt let and comprehensive property management by property professionals? If so, relax and let a safe registered agent take care of all your property matters. Marigold Residentials believe in 100% customer satisfaction and aim to provide quality service at very competitive prices. Why not also let us take care of your property sale? We're now a proud member of the National Association of Estate Agents. We also advertise in local papers free of charge. Visit us at 251 Dunstable Road or call us on 617 617. Terms and conditions apply.
While the world watches the crisis in Gaza unfold on the news, MATW is there, on the ground, right now, actively operating inside Gaza, delivering critical aid directly to those who need it. Medical supplies, food, clean water, and emergency shelter when it matters. Your donation can save lives right now, on the ground. Text MATW to 70470 to donate £10 or visit matwproject.org.uk, because when it matters most, we're there.
इत्दाल, हुर्रियत और हक की आवाज़ हमेशा गालिब रही है और यही आवाज़ हमेशा गालिब रहेगी। आइए और सुनिए हक की आवाज़। मैं हूं इमाम हाफिज इजाज़ अहमद, सुनाऊंगा आपको प्रोग्राम आवाज़ाए हक में हक की आवाज़, हर सोमवार 11 बजे से 12 बजे तक, only on Inspire FM 105.1.
From the studios of Inspire FM, the time is now 7:30.
Bismillah, walhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah. Amma ba'd. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome back to the second half of Sending the Community show with me, Hafiz Muhammad Umar. It is Wednesday, the 12th of November 2025, and today's show is live. And if you want to be sharing your thoughts, experiences, perhaps even advice around some of the topics we've been discussing during the first half of the show, or indeed during the second half, excuse me, you can ring us on 01582 481822. That's Luton 481822. Or you can WhatsApp us on 07779 481822, 07779 481822. Our regular listeners will know that Alhamdulillah, I'm a qualified Senko by profession, and I'm blessed with two younger siblings with Down syndrome. My brother Raz likes to join me here from time to time, and he couldn't join me today because he's down with man flu at the moment. And he has been messaging in saying, "Welcome to Sunday the Community Show. My name is Muhammad Raza Chowdhury, and we are live with Brother Raz." Yes, Raz, if you're still tuned in, you are certainly live in spirit with me. And hopefully, inshallah, you will have recovered by next week to be able to join me again, just like you did last week. So, very nice of Raz to send in his salams and his message of welcome to everybody for Sending the Community Show. As I mentioned at the beginning of the show, we are talking about some very delicate topics today, which are incredibly important. And November has been dedicated as an awareness month for a few separate topics, one of them being mental health. And there is mental health support available, as well as for our sisters, mothers, daughters out there as well. But men in particular, because we appear to be quite shy at times from accessing mental health support. And to that effect, as I mentioned earlier, we did a massive campaign during the summer where we worked very closely with an organization called CALM. CALM stands for Campaigning Against Living Miserably. Essentially, it's men's mental health support and anti-suicide charity. And we had a charity cricket match on 3rd of August at Luton Town Indians Cricket Club, including some amazing celebrities such as Monty Panasa, and we raised over £34,000 to support this amazing charity. So if you are feeling down, please feel free to contact CALM on 0800 585858. That's 0800 585858. They are open from 5 p.m. till midnight, or you can have a live chat with them via the calmzone.net. There is also another organization called Menshed that offers lots of support on mensheds.org.uk. Samaritans, of course, can be reached regularly by calling 116 123. That's 116 123. They're open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, all year round. And then there's another organization called Shout, where you can just text the word Shout to 85258. That's 85258, and you'll be able to get support there. And they again are open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And there are lots of organizations, including Mental Health Foundation, who offer lots of help, support, advice as well. So please feel free to get in touch with any one of those. And during the first half of the show, if you were able to tune in, you will know that we talked about epilepsy, how it manifests itself, what epilepsy is, different types of seizures, and the kind of support available. So if you missed that, feel free to go back to our website, and you can find the previous recordings of the show there, and you can listen to that again. During the second half of this show tonight, we are going to be talking about Islamophobia, what Islamophobia is, what support and help is available out there, and what can we as a community do to be able to tackle that. We are going to be inshallah, talking a bit more about that. I'm just looking at a message that a sister has sent in about what we're discussing during the first half of the show. She runs an advocacy account on Instagram called the Epilepsy Warriors. And yes, absolutely, I think you do make contact with us earlier, sister, and we are more than happy to bring you onto our show. As I mentioned earlier, during the first half of the show, we discussed epilepsy, and for next week, I have asked either people with lived experience, their parents, carers, family members, siblings, professionals like yourself at Epilepsy Warriors to get in touch. And inshallah, we'd love to hear from you and share your thoughts, experiences, advice with our community, not just in and around Luton, but also as far as we can reach using our platforms online as well. So Jazakallah khair for getting in touch, and we'd be able to get you on board as well. So excuse me, Islamophobia is a bit of a tricky word for many people at the moment, and I say that quite deliberately because even trying to define it or have a legal recognition of Islamophobia is, I guess, in some respect, Islamophobic itself, because we should not have to explain to people what it is. When we look at other discriminatory terms, they are recognized and quite rightly challenged, and yet we as Muslims sometimes we are expected to put up with whatever nonsense we are given based on our faith, and that makes it even more complicated if the Muslim being discriminated against has a special education need or a disability. And we want to make sure that our amazing individuals within our Muslim community and the wider Luton community with special education needs and disabilities understand the impact Islamophobic comments or attitudes or behaviors have on us. And so for this second half of the show, I am going to be asking our listeners to share their thoughts with us on what is Islamophobia. Has anybody unfortunately witnessed it? What have they done about it? And I will start with a short story myself. Just last week, I'm talking about Luton. I'm talking about my brother, not Raz, my older brother, by Kamar, may Allah bless him, and a group of his friends who were going for a walk after Fajr namaz, and somebody went past them. These were 3, perhaps 4 Muslims minding their own business, enjoying early morning walk, and he stopped and spat at them and carried on. This happened in Luton. Why? Why do some people think it's okay to be spitting at other people, or particularly Muslims? And this is the sort of thing that we've got to be able to then challenge. And if we can't, we got to report it, because we know there are shockingly increasing figures of Islamophobia all over the country. And unfortunately, Luton is not immune to this. So we've got to be able to make sure that we are doing something about it. The authorities are aware of it, and the individuals going out there who feel they have some kind of right to be nasty, unpleasant, and discriminatory towards Muslims, they understand that this is not right, this is wrong, and we challenge it quite clearly. A few weeks ago, I'm sure most of our listeners will have come across a shocking video on social media of a young man with quite obvious special education needs or disabilities, possibly autism, in a shopping center, and he was being reprimanded and shouted at and sworn at by an individual for no apparent reason at all. Why is that the case? Is somebody wearing a hijab, or having a beard, or very obviously looking like a Muslim, a target simply because of who we are? And what is the support available out there, and what can we do to help other people? So, as part of the Islamophobia Awareness Month, there is a website which raises awareness of this. It's called Islamophobia-awareness.org. Please visit that. And they have some great ambassadors who are challenging this, including the wonderful World Cup winning cricketer Moeen Ali from Birmingham. He's campaigning quite rightly so and going out there to make sure people are aware of what Islamophobia is and what is support available to them. Excuse me. And I'm also going to be sharing some support and advice available directly from that particular website, Islamophobia Awareness. And during the month of November, most organizations are encouraged to take part in raising awareness of Islamophobia. I'd love to hear from our listeners on what are your workplaces doing. Have they asked you to share your thoughts, experiences with them perhaps? Have they got a particular event on to raise this awareness? I know lots of colleges, universities up and down the country have organized different events, inviting keynote speakers, people with lived experiences to talk about what it was like. And it's not a new problem. If I go back some about 8-10 years ago, when National Union of Teachers was still in existence, and no longer exists because the larger teaching union has merged and taken over that. But the National Union of Teachers ran for nearly 100 years in this country. And at their annual conference, they invited a sister from Birmingham whose father had unfortunately been brutally attacked after he'd gone to pray Salah at the masjid, and he lost his life. This was 10 years ago. This was pre-7th of October, pre-COVID, pre all of that. So when we are looking at the underlying causes of Islamophobia, it's not recent, and it's something that has been around for quite some time. Baroness Sister Saida Warsi from Yorkshire did quite an intense amount of work on getting the legal definition of Islamophobia, I think 11-12 years ago. And then last year she delivered a lecture at the University of Leeds, where it was a decade after she had launched this. And listening to that was quite sad in that not a lot have been achieved. So what are we as a community doing to raise awareness of Islamophobia? Are we actually reporting when we are being targeted or discriminated against? Or are we thinking, you know what, it doesn't matter. Alhamdulillah, I'm okay, which is great. It's important to forgive. But I think it's also important to understand the fact that, I might have been strong enough to overcome a particular element of discrimination based on my faith. But what about the next brother or sister? Would they have the similar kind of strength? Or are they going to be more vulnerable? And what if they had a special education need or disability? Would that make them even more vulnerable? If they are teased, say, Raz mashallah has a small beard himself, he's quite proud of it. I've seen a lot of other brothers with very visible signs of disability in and around our town who very much enjoy having a beard. What if somebody was to go and start teasing them or mocking them? Or our sisters who wear their hijab quite fondly and proudly because they want to be like everybody else, and if they have a special education need or a disability, do we want them to be treated differently because of their appearance? I think that's what we got to ask ourselves. If the answer is no, then any experience we face that isn't pleasant, it has to be reported. And then, of course, the authorities, they monitor, and according to the number of cases reported, that's where they are in a position to be able to offer better support to the whole community. So we've got to be able to, first of all, understand it is wrong for somebody to treat you differently based on a whole host of factors. They're known as characteristics, legally speaking. The Equalities Act 2010, Section 4, clearly lists different protected characteristics which a person cannot be discriminated against, that makes it illegal. And within that, religion is one. You cannot be discriminated against by law based on your faith. That's your religion. Alhamdulillah, we are blessed to be Muslims. And if anybody chooses to treat us differently, then we got to be able to counter that. And yes, race is also a protected characteristic. But then sometimes people forget that you can be a Muslim and not be Asian or black or Arab. I'm talking of our brothers and sisters who are European or English white, and they feel this Islamophobic treatment at times as well. So we've got to try and understand what Islamophobia is, and how we as a whole community are in a situation where we got to be able to tackle that. Alhamdulillah, in a diverse town like Luton, we have many local councillors who are of Muslim heritage, and I guess as local residents, we can only hope and pray that they are equally able to carry this forward and ensure that the authorities are fully conscious. And some of those, experiences we see are quite visible. For example, the increased presence of security around masajid following some threats in the near past. So there are those kind of measures in place which we welcome. But when we are talking about individuals who might be the only Muslim in a place of work, for example, what does that feel like? Alhamdulillah, I've been in that kind of position a few times as a school teacher, where I've been the only Muslim at the school. And overall, I've had mixed experiences, but most of it has been, alhamdulillah, very positive. Things like Ramadan, for example, being able to fast without any difficulty, being able to pray during this time of the year, during the winter, when you got your Zuhr, Asr, and Maghrib to get through within space of 2-3 hours. Being able to have those kind of facilities in place. Yes, it does take a lot of communication, a lot of skill, courage, and determination to be able to have that in place. It doesn't happen automatically. It's important to have that honest conversation with your employers upfront. The fact that these are my needs. What can we do to work around them? Sometimes, people are right. I got to pray as soon as the salat time starts. Well, actually, if you are allocated an hour's break, perhaps, and you got Zohar and Asr quite close to each other, could you have the later? I'm not thinking a school kind of situation where timetabling can be quite complicated. I guess I can go back to my retail times when I was at university. In those days, it was quite easy to be able to have a break at that time. If it was between, I don't know, quarter to 2 to quarter to 3, I could get Zohar and Asr in one break. And then for Maghrib, have just a 5-minute break, make sure I had wudu, etc. And I try and have some degree of flexibility. I remember one time when I was working on a Sunday retail for 6 hours, and we were allocated just half an hour break. And I had a quiet discussion with my manager, and we were able to get that break split into 2 15-minute breaks. So I wasn't really missing any of my salahs. 2 15-minute breaks meant I could pray Zohar and then Asr, and then for Maghrib, I could get back home. If I was given half an hour, it would have been too tricky, and it just where it did not coincide with both one salat time ending, the other one starting, that would have been tricky. But then I am also conscious of where some workplaces just did not think anything about religion. There was this terrible individual I once faced at a job interview, which I walked out and had to report him, where he now started to mock our deen. To him, it didn't add up. And I hadn't gone for a religious teacher's job. It was a job to do with computer science at the time, before, in fact, I became a teacher. And suddenly he brought in religion. It was in an English majority area. The business, I don't think, had any Muslims working there beforehand. He saw me coming in, and this was over 25 years ago. And just because of my appearance, my name, very obvious Muslim name, Muhammad, he decided to start having some kind of unnecessary conversation around religion, particularly how bad Islam was. And I just walked out the interview simply because I told him very clearly the fact that I hadn't gone in to discuss my personal beliefs. It was about the job, and he wasn't really discussing the job at all. And that is Islamophobia. And added to that, if you put in somebody who has anxiety, for example, they prepare themselves for an interview and they go in and suddenly somebody starts to mock, how difficult would that have been? And that's why it's important for us to really try and understand the fact that Islamophobia is present. It's not something that started only last year or a year before, or since COVID or what have you. Has been around for quite some time. And more importantly, if we don't do anything about it, our children are going to find it even more difficult. So if you are experiencing any difficulties based on your faith, please report it to the authorities. Let them deal with it, and let them actually understand the significance of what it is, and put measures in place. And some of the things that can be done in workplace: facilitating an inclusive social environment in the workplace is simple to achieve and has wide-reaching benefits for employees and the workplace. Creating a Muslim-friendly environment attracts talent, nurtures loyalty, and enhances job satisfaction. Unfortunately, data shows that Muslims experience Islamophobia in corporate spaces, from recruitment to the workplace. As I mentioned, my own personal experience is there. A job seeker with an English-sounding name was offered 3 times the number of interviews compared to an applicant with a Muslim name, a BBC study found. In 2017, a government report found that only 1 in 5 members of the economically active Muslim population is in full-time employment, compared to 1 in 3 overall. More than 2/3 of UK Muslims in employment have experienced some form of workplace Islamophobia. More than 2/3. That's like more than 66%. People have experienced Islamophobia in workplace. What are we doing about it? A significant number of UK Muslims say that they have faced discrimination during annual work reviews, 32%, and a job interview stage, 34%. Excuse me, I think my throat was going dry there. And I'm reading this in 2025, and yet what I went through some 20 odd years ago doesn't really seem to have changed. Being discriminated at job interview stage, imagine that, simply because you have a very obvious Muslim sounding name, Muhammad Hamid Khalid, and suddenly you're a target because of who you are, or you go in wearing a hijab or a beard, and that's it. They think that's enough to start ridiculing you. While 37% of the UK Muslims surveyed said they had faced Islamophobia at recruitment stage, the figure rose to 58% of black Muslims currently in work. This is why we've got to raise awareness of this. And the source for this is Islamophobia Awareness Month website. Department of Work and Pensions Analysis has estimated that between 1.25% of the current ethnic minority employment gap in the UK is caused by employer discrimination. According to the Young Foundation, 23% of women respondents who are in work said they felt they were treated differently or encountered discrimination in interviews because they were Muslim. 43% of women respondents not currently in work said they felt they were treated differently or encountered discrimination at interviews because they were Muslim. A 2024 study found that 69% of Muslim workers experience everyday microaggressions, subtle hostility, or exclusion within the workplace. Data presented to the Scottish Parliament showed a 600 to 700% surge in anti-Muslim incidents, including workplace cases between October 7th to 19th, 2023, amid a wider UK-wide increase in Islamophobia. This is shocking. And then, that was from the workplace. And then if you look at healthcare, the NHS is the 5th largest employer in the world, and it is estimated that just under 10% of the doctors in the NHS are Muslim. Yet behind the scenes, there lies an urgent matter that requires attention: Islamophobia within the healthcare environments. In a survey conducted after the summer 2024 Islamophobic and racist riots in the UK, PMA found that 62.6% of Muslim healthcare professionals reported feeling unsafe commuting to or working at their jobs. Almost 4 in 10 Muslim healthcare professionals had received verbal abuse from colleagues around their faith. Almost 8 in 10 experienced negative assumptions related to their religion. Brothers and sisters, we are coming towards the end of the show. Whilst these figures are unexplainably worrying, please do not suffer in silence. Please do report any form of Islamophobia you encounter. Please stay safe, take care of yourselves. Today you've been listening to Sending the Community Show with me, Hafiz Muhammad Umar, on epilepsy and Islamophobia. Please join me again next week. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.